Ksenia Zhribtsova, 360 TV channel. The question is, going back to the elections, the previous 3 days, both in the Moscow region and across the country, foreign observers from 129 countries were working. Did you get any feedback from them? I know that they were saying that they would like to learn from this experience of holding the elections. Will we share? Of course we will. We have no secrets to hide. I'm not going to reveal any big secret. A couple of years ago, we had doubts. Well, some administration staff had doubts. Some were saying about the need to expand the digital voting. Some of the people were against that by various reasons, but finally, those who thought that it's transparent enough, it's civilized enough, it's modern enough, it allows the majority of people, the vast majority of people, to exercise their rights. This point of view prevailed, and Sobyanin also insisted on that, so we started to expand this platform. First of all, it is transparent, and it is absolutely objective, not like in the United States, this voting by mail. You're smiling, but it is important. What is voting by mail? A person comes, and some time ago in the States that was like that, so the voting period is over, but you can send the ballots in until the midnight because you're going to the post office, and if the day is not over yet, you can send it in. And we had a lot of observers, right? Including from the foreign states. It doesn't matter if they are members of the OSCE or not. These are independent people and representatives of the parties. They are watching how the voting is going. And what is happening with this voting by mail in the United States of America? Who was standing there controlling the whole thing? No one. You can buy a vote for $10, and then you buy 1,000 votes, and you just throw it in at midnight, the whole parcel of it. So that's voting for you, that's democracy for you. We have nothing of the kind. Yes, we are trying to improve our system to make it better during the presidential campaigns, and we will be glad. We are willing to share this experience with anyone willing to learn. A couple of questions more, and we will be ending the press conference. Mr. President, I would like to join the congratulations of Russia today. The percent, the vote that you are getting, that's a real slap on the face to all those external forces who were trying to undermine our internal political system, and they were making very serious efforts to achieve this. How do you think, will they learn something from this situation, that they tried to undermine this whole thing, but the people united around you? Well, I think so, because people there in all those organizations who are working against our country have been working against our country for decades. These are not stupid people. But you know what the problem is? After the collapse of the Soviet Union, there were a lot of specialists on the Soviet Union, and they had no other skills but how to fight the Soviet Union. And then they used these skills against Russia. And they started to convince their political leaders and the people in their countries that they need to finish Russia off because they wanted to keep their jobs. But the new generation of specialists is coming in, and they have a realistic view of the current situation. I think they will act in more cunning manner, but they will not change the goals regarding Russia. Marina Kim, Solovyov Live. Congratulations also, and we believe in you strongly. And the question is, you have just extended your term of flying colors. Zelensky has not. So who do we negotiate about peace with? So we will think about this. So it requires some thinking, some research. Channel 1, the question about your crew, about your team, the mechanism of forming the new elite. You spoke about this time of hero. program, and maybe you need some of them already now in 2024, some of these people. And as a follow-up to the question about the Belgorod region, barbaric attacks by the Ukrainian regime, a lot of people died. Well, some people died, a lot of people were wounded. 1 year ago, Governor Gladkov, when he was asked how to resolve this question, this problem, he said to ensure security of the Belgorod region, the Kharkiv region should be joined to Russia. What do you think about this? I'm not ready to speak about what we should join and how, but I do not exclude it. I mean, the tragic events occurring today, happening today, we will be forced at a certain point when we deem it necessary to establish a certain sanitary zone in the territories currently under control of the Kyiv regime, to establish safety zones that would be hard to overcome using the strike means that the opponent is using. First of all, I'm speaking about the foreign means, foreign strike weapons. How deep such a zone could be, well, that's a separate thing to discuss. As for the future administration, executive branch. You know, when I spoke about this project, about this program, Time of the Heroes, I'm not exaggerating anything. It just, this idea came to me when I met the last participants of the special military operation in St. Petersburg. All of them have higher education, graduates of the universities, and then this simple idea came to me, and that's something we are trying to organize now, to take these people who do not spare their lives for the interests of their homeland. They are losing their lives, they are getting maimed there. So because the service is very difficult, because it's dirty there, there's this snow there in the trenches, but they are still fighting. Those who have never been in the trenches have a hard time imagining that, but they are doing that for the sake of their homeland. So it would be the right thing to use them in the future administrations, but they must be trained first. They must be worked with first. And where to use them? Well, it depends on where do they themselves see them. Some of them would like to work in healthcare, some of them would like to work in the law enforcement agencies or in the military service or the state administration. It will depend on the choice a person makes. And then we need to see what they're willing to do. It will depend on the level of training as well. And those of them who have no higher education, they must get a chance to receive a higher education if they want to. That's not some kind of a propaganda trick. I hope that it is going to be constant, gradual work for the years to come. We have already received more than 30,000 applications. Of course, the first step is a few dozens. First, we need to choose the best ones out of them, select best ones out of them, but we will continue to expand this effort, and that's the path we are going to move along. I thought a young man would ask a question, but please. Today, the leader of the Communist Party, Gennady Zyuganov, said that tomorrow you plan to meet Nikolai Kharitonov. Can you confirm that this meeting will take place? And if you are going to have this meeting, what would you speak with him about? And when will you meet two other presidential candidates? Tomorrow, I have the plan to meet all the three presidential candidates, and we look at the outcome. Here is what I would like to say about the Communist Party, about the LDPR, and about the New People political party. As for the New People party, I do not know what's the final outcome. But what's always attractive for the people is some kind of novelty. People are always looking forward to some changes, some transformation. So the result that was accomplished, especially since these are the people, I know the leaders of this party well. First of all, their focus is to establish favorable conditions for the business development in their campaign speeches, Mr. Davankov and his colleagues, I don't know what exactly they said, but in overall, their idea, the gist of their activities is first of all in establishing conditions, better conditions for the entrepreneurial activities, which is a good thing because this social stratum, the entrepreneurs, is the basis for the economy, which is the basis for accomplishment of the national goals, which is a very important effort. As for the Communist Party, we all understand that their voters are, first of all, people who are patriots, patriotic voters, as we call them. And under these conditions, the vast majority of their voters decided to vote for the incumbent president. I mean, the difficult situation that we have found ourselves in, and it had certain impact on the final outcome. And I understand this perfectly, I'm aware of that, but that does not mean that their voting base is shrinked somehow. I do not believe this is true. Under normal conditions in our internal political life, everything will remain the way it was. So we're about to end, so please.
Vladimir Viktor Senyok. You
spoke about unprecedented turnout in the new regions, and you spoke about the reasons for it, but you did not say, did it come as a surprise, because near 100% of the voters voted for you, so did it come as a surprise, this outcome? Did you expect it, that it will be the outcome in the new regions, because these people have become our citizens just recently? And the second question, now in the West we hear statements that our elections were not free, they're illegitimate, these are bad elections. So do you care? Are you concerned with what the Western leaders are saying about our elections? As for the outcome in Donbass and Novorossiya and in Crimea as well, actually. In principle, I thought they would be so good, so significant, but to see them as good as they are today, well, I did not expect that. But what does it say? It says, first, that we are doing the right things. People are grateful to us for the decisions that we have made to protect them, and that's the main reason for all our actions. Secondly, they expect us to protect them in every sense of this word. First of all, in security and safety, and of course they expect us to continue to the economical development of these territories, and we will do everything to make sure that all their dreams, all their aspirations came true. As for the reaction from certain Western countries, that's something we could expect. What did you want them to do? To applaud? Because they're fighting against us. They are fighting with arms against us. So they are going to think that they would be applauding not even me personally, but the force that is behind me, the force that wants to strengthen Russia, to increase its defense capabilities, to enhance its economic potential and independence in economy, in finance. Their goal is to deter our development. Of course, they will say anything. Your colleague has just spoken about democracy, and my answer was about how do we assess the democratic processes in his country, in certain other countries. But this is true. The entire world is laughing at what's happening there. We are being a little more constrained than their opponents in the other countries. We behave in a constrained manner, but that's a disaster. That's not democracy. That's what it is. So for me, it is important that the Russian people made their choice. I work in the interest of the Russian people, in the interest of the Russian state, and I'm grateful to the Russian people for the support. If we have any foreign journalists to show our democratic attitude, so you're the only one brave enough to come. Thank you for coming here, for being here despite your skeptical mood. So you're listening to me answering probably in an unpleasant manner, and you wanted to ask some tricky questions, but nevertheless you're here, and it means that not everything is lost for the United States.
Against the Reuters.
Reuters agency, maybe it is a silly question, but nevertheless, Macron keeps saying about possible possibility of sending French European troops to Ukraine, and that's a matter of concern for the European nations. How do you think the full-fledged conflict between Russia and NATO, is it possible, and how probable is it? Well, I think everything is possible in the modern world, and as I said before, it is clear to everyone that this will be one step away from a full-fledged World War III. I do not think anyone is interested in this. As for the stance of President of France, so he has already made certain adjustments. He said that this contingent will perform secondary functions. They will take care of training the military personnel in Ukraine. They would be explaining to them how to use the Western military equipment and so on and so forth. So it's not that different from what the mercenaries are doing now. And there is a military personnel from the NATO countries. We know that. We can hear the French, the English language being spoken, and that's not a good thing for them, first of all, because they are the ones who are dying en masse. But it is up to them, ultimately. If someone wants to cover their internal political problems with this kind of rhetoric, well, that's a well-known trick that is being used quite often.